One of the hardest things about dementia is lack of familiarity. When someone with dementia is in a place that they don't know what's happening, it becomes very difficult for that person. So, one of the things that really help a person that has dementia is establishing a routine. And dementia is basically a neurological disorder that impairs a person's cognition and memory. So the thinking is not clear, it's foggy. And sometimes, as the disease progresses, it becomes harder and harder to think through things. And of course, memory becomes worse. So when your loved one has dementia, again, just keeping in mind it's a disease like any other, it's a disorder. In Kenya, lack of education causes a lot of people to be mistreated, neglected when they have dementia. But remember, just like someone with any other disease, that's the same way you care for your loved one when they have dementia. When you see them acting differently, being forgetful, asking the same question multiple times, or having repeated phrases or repeating conversations throughout the day. Ah, that's my dad. Papa, oh, okothiria, teko kweragia. Karanthi metha nimbijite. Tiandirie ũngĩnkũthithia mbĩje. Tĩ sawa? Eh? I sawa imbĩjĩte. So establishing routine is very helpful. Routine is actually really helpful for all of us. All of us, when you establish routine for your own personal life, you can become very productive because your brain, your body starts to get used to what to expect at certain times. For example, sleep is really important for us. We need enough sleep to be the most productive that you can be in life. So it's very helpful to establish your sleep time. What time do you go to bed every night? Because when you establish what time you go to bed every night, then your body, your brain gets used to it. And at that time of the night, your body expects to sleep, your mind expects to sleep. And so when you go to bed, you find that it's easier to fall asleep because you have established a routine. So, routine is good for everybody. Now, when someone has dementia, routine is so helpful because it helps that person, your loved one, to anticipate what's going to happen. One of the things that I notice with my dad, like when we go to the store for grocery or to do shopping, he's more anxious than when he is at home. Why? Because he doesn't know what to expect. So he'll keep asking, so what are we doing? What are we doing? Where are we going? What are we doing? And he'll keep asking that question because it's unfamiliar and there's the lack of control, feeling that you have no control over what's happening. When your loved one has a routine that they can follow, they have a sense of control. So, for example, if it's a shower, there's a certain way you lay clothes for your loved one so that when they are done showering, they can dress themselves. Another thing is routine helps maintain independence because when a person is feeling that they can do things for themselves, they also feel good about themselves. So it's therapeutic. Mentally, it's good for everyone. So giving them that sense of, I know what to do, a routine helps. I go, I take a shower, I get dressed, I make my bed, I do this. You just create a routine for your loved one. Keep their spaces status quo. As much as possible, avoid disruptions. One of the hardest things, again, about a person with dementia is relocation. When they move from one place, for example, whether your loved one has been living in their home where they are familiar with places, and also depending on how far the progression of the disease is, because as the disease progresses, you notice that your loved one will forget where their bedroom is. They start to forget where the bathroom is in their own home. But as much as possible, at least when you direct, they go, oh, yeah, they remember. When a person moves from his home, let's say to a nursing home, you notice a lot of behavior issues. It's not that your loved one is trying to be rude or to misbehave or to not understand. They are lost. Their entire life is thrown off. It's a new place, these are new faces, people who don't know them, don't understand them. So there's an adjustment period. Again, when my father came to stay with us here in America. In his home, he knew where his cows were. He loved his cows. He would go there and feed his cows and spend time with his cows, and that really helped him. He would go to the farm and just look at his coffee, look at what's going on in the farm, and he would walk around his home and come home tired. When he came here, it was adjustment. He had to adjust to a new environment, and we had to adjust to him because I came to realize there's so much about my dad that I didn't know. It's easy to assume that just because somebody is your father, somebody is your mother, somebody is your sibling, somebody is your child, it's so easy to think that I know this person because they are my child. And actually, you come to realize you might not even know your own child. If you're not spending enough time with your children, I guarantee you, you don't know them. They grow and they grow. And by the time you catch on it, you realize they have grown so differently from what you thought or what you expected that they were growing like. Same to parents, same to siblings. Now, for immigrants, you notice this. When I would go to Kenya, at first, after even 5 years of living in America, my sisters would ask, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? What happened to you? And I would think, what do you mean, what happened to me? And then 10 years, I would go and they would be like, you are really different. What happened to you? And I'm thinking, what happened to me? But at the same time, I'm looking at my sisters and how they approach life. And I'm like, these are my sisters. We were raised by the same mother, same father, under the same roof. but our perspectives are so different. Why? Because we've grown differently. I relocated to United States in my early 20s. So my entire adult life has been in America. Actually, I moved out of my parents' house. I was in my parents' house until I was 23 years old, and then I relocated to United States. So my entire life as independence has been in United States. And I have grown very differently culturally and in many ways than my siblings. And so, it's easy to think that's my sister. I know her very well. But the fact is, that's not the case. So you get to always try to understand the other person, even though there's a lot of love between me and my siblings. There's a lot of love between us. But yet, it takes time to sit back and say, what's going on here? Do you understand this? And we find that we are in different places. Our perspectives are so different because we've grown differently. So it's always learning, always adjusting. And so you can imagine that big change for an immigrant. When I go to Kenya, I'm amazed. I'm thinking, is this the same place I grew up? Because people are different. And yet, in United States, I also don't fit because the culture here is so different from the culture in which I grew up. And a lot of times, immigrants feel like it's a culture of our own. We don't fit here, we don't fit there. It's this culture of our own because we are holding both worlds, and it's hard for these people here to understand us, and it's hard for these people here to understand us. And it's like we are in this space that is complicated, actually very complex. So everything is adjustment. So when you talk of somebody with dementia, all these aspects are heightened because of the fact that it's a cognition disorder. So this person is having to try to understand. For a very long time, my father would be confused in our house, and he would stand by the stairs and he would say, where is the hallway that goes this way? And I'm like, I know what he is trying to ask. I know the hallway that he is looking for. And I would have to say, Papa, you're in America. This is McKenna. You're in McKenna's home in America. Then you'd be surprised. So that's what dementia does. So there's there's a lot going on. There's decline in cognition, in memory, and so creating routine helps. So now my dad has adjusted to his environment, and almost like where he lived before doesn't really ring a bell. So I really look forward to when he can go back to Kenya and see what that reaction will be like. But I'm sure there will be adjustment again. So just know when someone has dementia, give room for adjustment with changes. As much as possible, create a routine. Help them know after this is what's going to happen. You eat dinner, or you wake up, you eat breakfast, you take a walk, or go shopping, do something active, come back, you take a shower, you eat lunch, that routine. And then after lunch, take a little nap. Naps are really good for the elderly generally. Take a little nap, but don't let them sleep the rest of the day because then you're going to have issues at night. Couple hours nap, wake up, Let's get moving a little bit again. Have dinner, prayer time. So when there is a routine that they can follow, it helps them feel better about themselves. It gives them a sense of independence. They know where their clothes are. So sometimes I'll lay clothes for my dad on the bed and say, Papa, wear these clothes. And then I leave him to get dressed. And Dada, when he comes, he is wearing something totally different from what I left on the bed. Why? Because his clothes are right there. And so he decides, I don't want to wear this. I'm going to wear something different. And he changes, he takes it, he wears what he wants, and he comes. And I'm like, oh, okay. So helping maintain that independence is very important for someone, even with dementia. But basically, create a routine for your loved one. Create a routine for your loved one. It's going to help with the cares, with communication, with independence, with esteem levels. It's just gonna really help for them when you create a routine. Create a routine for yourself too. It will help you be more productive in your life. So that's what I had in mind today, is just encouraging you on the importance of creating a routine for your loved one, especially when they have dementia or generally the elderly. It becomes very helpful when they know what to anticipate so that they are not feeling like they are following orders all the time, but they are already thinking ahead, or this is what's going to happen. So creating a routine is very important. God bless.